Let's hello you absolute lovelies. Let's talk all about it. Welcome to Derry, the finale of chapter 1, because we got confirmation with that beautiful little button that this is only the beginning, and what a finale it was. Oftentimes for me, when the penultimate episode is that strong, the ending becomes a bit more of a denouement, but not with this show. That finale was a full-on climax to this season, and it was so freaking good. Excited to dive in, but if you're new to this page, please hit that subscription bell. I cover movies, I cover TV, and I cover lots and lots of comic book goodness. So if you like genre content, you like pop culture, hit that subscription bell. Also, hit the like in this video. It helps the algorithm, and I'd appreciate it very much. And most of all, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of it. Welcome to Derry, Season 1, the whole shebang. I'd love to know what you thought of the entirety of the show, but I'd also really love to know what you thought of the finale. Let's talk about it. So, I love that this show addressed a lot of the fan theories. It addressed a lot of continuity. It dealt with the greater landscape of Stephen King, as the rest of the season has. A highlight for me was not only acknowledging the fun, timey-wimey loop of basically Pennywise's death that we see in It Chapter 2 being his birth, allowing us to go in this reverse chronological order going forward. The end of Pennywise that we see in the movie that we got, the sequel to the It Chapter 1 into It Chapter 2, that sequel, that end is the beginning, which means everything can go back if that's where it stops. And then we go 27, 27, 27. And not only that, but with the very end of the show, it ties us directly into the beginning of It Chapter 1, giving us a Beverly scene we'd never seen, giving us the launch of the It movie. But I really love that single line of dialogue between Pennywise and Margaret, which also confirms one of my theories. I was a little wrong. I had the wrong kid. But my theory from the beginning was that Margaret was going to be the mom, I thought, of Jack Dylan Grazer's character, but instead was the mom of Finn Wolfhard's character. But from the beginning, I just had the sense that her importance was going to lie in the losers that we know, and her being the predecessors of those losers and her own group of losers. I love that that was Pennywise trying to do the kill baby Hitler method. He was trying to kill the person's mom, trying to take out things before they started. So I think that's genius, and I think that also gives us that great dialogue about that time in reversal for the show to play with. So we can do an It Chapter 2, 27 years earlier. We can do an It Chapter 3, 27 years before that, and we can use that timey-wiminess to play around with all sorts of fun continuity. The next season might be these kids' parents, because it'll be Pennywise seeking to prevent this from happening, which we get told in a different chronological order. What a genius way to use a movie as a launching point. What a genius way to play with continuity and allow for more and more freedom. What a great way to play with continuity in an inventive way, but also with production design. So now we've seen, 27 years prior to 88, which is already a period piece for us. Obviously, 88 was some years ago, 35 from right now, 37 from right now. But 27 years prior to 88, we obviously have the show set in 57. So 27 years prior to that, we get to go to 1930, and that'll be really fun to play with the period piece elements of 1930. Like I think that math's right. But I think that'd be a lot of fun and a great thing to play around with. I think I did the math wrong from 87 to anyway, 27 years prior. It's going to be a blast. I love that. I also really want to highlight, just in this episode alone, Annie Muschietti's directing in this episode. The wind-blown dynamic of a giant climax. This episode is an hour and 10 minutes, and I feel like about 30 minutes of it takes place on a sheet of ice, takes place on a river. The show opens with some of the best Pennywise stuff, but then that sequence, to me, keeping the intensity high. We had that great episode 7 that had 3 different full act structure, big climax moments. Again, as I said at the top, I was worried that this couldn't feel as big and would feel like more of a denouement. Instead, this cranks it up and is a full action movie spectacle set on a river, set with billowing snow, set with this glowing, football that's got to land, but also the fun of slow-mo Pennywise, both frozen and moving, and the skipping and the frolicking, and how terrifying but joyous that was. How perfect for a Pennywise thing to be skipping, but also haunting and visually terrifying. I loved that decision. I loved how it suited the military story. I love how it suited all the families coming together. I loved how it suited the kids' storyline, and it allowed Pennywise to do something completely different that we haven't seen so far. And by the way, the subtitle of this show to me isn't It Welcome to Derry. It's It Fuck Them Kids. This is the most fuck them kids show I've ever seen in my life, in the best way. When he goes out of the school and gets all of the upperclassmen to go home and brings all the underclassmen into a presentation to murder them after killing their principal. and then has literally dozens of kids, you'll float toing across a river. Haunting imagery. I've never seen something quite like that. Like, that imagery was so specifically strong. Tying that into Will, making that whole chase happen, the chase element of this. I'm doing this in reverse chronological order. We're going back to the school and stuff now, but all of that really worked for me. I think the school stuff was terrifying, and I love that Pennywise had a stage. The opening of this episode giving Pennywise yet another stage, tying into the circus, and that gave us a great setup for all the kids to disappear into the magic of the circus mindset. And then later we got us in Pennywise's mind with Dick Halloran basically making that stage come through again, but in the mind of Pennywise, and that little bit of control that he had for a moment there. Genius and an absolute blast. I love Dick Halloran's visuals in this episode. I love his trapped in the mind, all these ghosts and stuff, and how we see them get silenced with the Native American bark and the way the drug breaks them of that, and then that beautiful, beautiful ending, the denouement of this episode with the setup for the Overlook Hotel, with the setup for The Shining. Incredible world building. I also thought of The Mist quite a bit with the setting here, but like there's so much great Stephen King setup and world building, and there was this whole season. Frankly, this I think is my second favorite show of the year, second only to Adolescence, which is, I think, to me, Adolescence is one of those once in a lifetime shows that's just mind blowing. This is a once in a generation show. This is, I think, what I felt about Stranger Things when I saw it the first season 10 years ago, but this is as an adult. Now I'm 37. This to me feels like the adult equivalent of that same rush of holy crap, what a show. I love It Chapter 1 and 2. I think this is right up there with It Chapter 1, a very freaking high bar. I want to look quickly at any of the cast that really jumped out to me. Really enjoyed Leroy Hanlon's arc. And I really think they redeemed him really well with the last little button, staying on the farm, getting out of the military, all the things about the honorable discharge I really enjoyed. I'm trying to say his name, Jovan Adepo, crushed, incredible. Taylor Page, who I only knew from Zola, she's so freaking good in this. She is such a force. She's got such presence, and I really love that, like, very intense maternal instinct we get to see, especially in this episode of the kid Will and all of that madness. Dick Halloran, definitely a highlight, definitely a scene stealer. Man, Ariane S. Cartea, who plays Rich Santos, that funeral scene where we actually get to see Dick Halloran using his powers for benevolence, using them for good, letting him have a beautiful moment with Rich, giving Rich that moment in the funeral, but also with his friends, that like power of friendship moment, pushing that last little into the dirt. That was so beautiful. And the scene with his family, we just met them. That was the scene we meet his family. Immediately you feel the connection. You feel the lived in history, and you feel that power of good that Dick got to do with giving that moment to his family. Loved that scene. I loved all the friendship here. I really liked the last beat with having, I forget her name, the girl from It, the redhead girl. Anyway, having her at the end tying us to everything, and then having Dick Halloran tied to The Shining. All of that really worked for me. Pennywise, especially terrifying here. I want to give flowers to Bill Skarsgård's mania on the stage, mania while skipping across the river, terrifying mind stuff, frozen. Every little moment of Pennywise was amongst my favorite stuff. This was maybe the scariest episode. I think 7 was my favorite as far as a narrative. I think 8 is the scariest. I think they played around with manipulation of our expectations. I did guess the 3 that would die in the finale. I have no way to prove that, but I was talking to my fiance because this is our favorite thing to watch together, and these were the 3 I predicted. I thought James Remar had to go because of the military angle, and he's the head of the snake that's been causing so many problems, so he had to go. I thought that the Native American dude, he's done so much altruistically, but he's also got the most face time, so he's probably going to go because I assumed the matriarch of the Native Americans would survive. I was right there. And then I really, really thought that one of the losers had to bite it, but when they didn't, I really thought that it had to be amongst that little pocket and 3 for 3. So I forget who the third death was, but I called it before. I'm blanking. Let me know in the comments below. Who was the third death? There were 3. Anyway, really impressed with this show. Really enjoyed it top to bottom. I just, all the kid actors, all the adult actors, praise. Good stuff. Annie Muschietti with the directing of this episode, especially really powerful stuff. Love the writing. Love the whole journey. Love the 27 years reverse chronological order. I loved the Maggie twist that I called but in the wrong direction. I loved the losers line where, Pennywise calls them losers. It just really worked, man. It was so freaking good. And I loved the reveal of how they're going to play with continuity here. So a lot of love for this show. Really, really enjoyed it. Welcome to Derry, Chapter 1. What a beautiful little coda to give us hope for that season 2. I think coming in 2027. Someone commented, I think that's the situation. So really, really enjoyed this. I appreciate you guys watching it in the morning. Could not get this up last night. I'm filming this at 2 a.m. So it's going to be up soon, but launch in the morning. Please let me know in the comments what you thought of this finale. Let me know what you thought of the season in general. Let me know what you thought of this show. Are you excited for season 2 in a couple years? Are you excited for more Stephen King world building goodness? Are you wanting more Pennywise? I know I do. That was a hell of a thing. So, okay, now that we're at the end of the episode, 88 minus 27 is definitely not 50-something. It's 1961. That's math. And then 61 minus 27 is 61 minus 7, 54. 54 minus 10 is 24. 34. 1934. 1934. Next season, 1934. We'll see. I'm slap happy. I'm exhausted. I'm going to end this video. Please comment below. Are you excited for 1934 Pennywise? Are you excited for new team, new losers, new production design, new glory, more Andy Muschietti directing, I hope? What a show. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this episode, and I will see you very soon for the next show. It's the last show I'm covering this year, but I will be doing a top shows of the year video to wrap us out. There's only 2 weeks left of the year. So top 10 of the year, I think this is show number 2. Tune in to see what 1 and 3 through 10 are. I'm also doing top 25 movies of 2025 and top 10, I believe, comics, 10 or 15, comics of 2025. So those are coming at the end of the month, at the end of the year. So let me know in the comments below what some of your favorite shows were. If I missed any, I'd love to know. And I will see you very, very soon for all those videos. Appreciate you. What a show. What a show. We all float to.